In our last class, we have explained infrastructure and economic development. We know that infrastructure is of great significance for an economy. Though the prosperity of a country directly depends upon the development of its agricultural and industrial sectors, but these sectors require certain facilities like transport and communications, banking, marketing, power, etc. All these facilities and services taken together constitute infrastructure of the economy. So the larger the infrastructure facilities, the bigger the opportunities for producers to produce more. Existence of infrastructure as a necessary condition for development, it proves from the following points. Infrastructure such as power, water, transport, communication, etc. are used as inputs for the production in the directly productive sector. Infrastructure raises productivity. It is found that around 6.5 to 7% of total value added is contributed by infrastructure in low income countries. This figure is 9% in middle income countries and 11% in high income countries. The availability of infrastructural facilities encourages investments. Generally, level of investment of a country or a region remains low because of underdevelopment of infrastructure. Investors are not coming to India in a big way due to this reason. So we cannot think modern living without facilities like transportation, communications, education, and health. The infrastructure of education and health produce literate and healthy population. So I've seen how the infrastructure and economic development interrelated. In this video, we'll explain the energy. Energy plays an important role in economic development of a country. It is required in industries, agriculture, and transport. It is also required in houses for cooking, lighting, and heating. The rate of consumption of power in an economy is the index of its economic development. Since energy is essential for production and consumption, demand for it increases with increase in national income and per capita income. If energy resources are inadequate in a country, the country will grow at a slow pace despite other necessary inputs. The economic development of a country depends upon per capita consumption of power. Higher the per capita consumption of power, higher will be the per capita income. It is energy which is dividing between, or we can say which is the dividing line between a poor economy and a developed economy. In USA, an average American consumes nearly 40 times as much energy as an average does in India. Even in China also, they consume more power or energy than India. Now let us see the forms of energy. Energy sources broadly classified into two groups: commercial energy and non-commercial energy. Commercial energy is available to the users at a price. It is mostly used for production and commercial purposes. This is an exhaustible form of energy with the exception of hydropower. Its examples are coal, petroleum, natural gas, electricity, etc. On the other hand, non-commercial energy consists of those sources of energy which generally do not command a price. That is the free of cost. But in some cases, the consumers need to pay price for non-commercial sources of energy also. These include firewood, agricultural waste, dried dung of animals, etc. It is used for domestic and consumption purposes. And non-commercial energy is renewable source of energy. So we find the non-commercial energy, it is largely used for consumption and domestic purposes.
Goods of non-commercial energy are generally produced by the villagers free of cost.
And the share of firewood in the total non-commercial energy is the largest. So main difference, commercial energy used in commercial purposes and production purposes mainly, whereas non-commercial energy used for domestic and consumption purpose. This is exhaustible form of energy and non-commercial is a renewable form of energy. Commercial energy is available to the users at a price. Non-commercial energy is generally available to the users free of cost. Next, sources of energy. Sometimes sources of energy are also classified into conventional and non-conventional energy. Conventional sources of energy like coal, petroleum and natural gas are non-renewable sources of energy. Most of conventional sources of energy cause pollution. Conventional sources of energy are limited in supply. They have a limited stock. They are common and widely used sources like thermal power. These are expensive means of energy. Non-conventional energy. Non-conventional sources of energy like solar energy, tidal power and wind energy are renewable sources of energy. These energy sources do not cause pollution. Non-conventional sources of energy are unlimited. They are comparatively new sources of energy and are as yet not being used widely. But we are trying to use, such as recently India started solar plant. These sources of energy are cheaper. However, the initial cost of setting up these facilities is large. It is a recurring expenditure is less, but establishment cost is too high. Now let us see power or electricity as a source of energy. Electricity and power generation play a crucial role in economic development. It is vital input for industry and agriculture and is of popular importance to a developing rural sector which needs more power for its agricultural operations and for its small scale and agro industries. All sectors need electricity for their common needs of water supply, transport, communication and domestic lighting. There is a pie chart given and we'll find out that is the sources of electricity generated in India 2016, and these four sources are given in this pie chart: thermal power, hydel power, nuclear power and renewable sources of power. Thermal power is the major supplier of power, 82%. Hydel power is 8.5%, nuclear power is 2.5%, and renewable sources of power is 7%. But it is increasing. Now it has become the second sources of power generation in India. Presently, renewable sources of power. Challenges in the power sector in India. Challenges in the power sector in India. What are the problems? First is insufficient generation capacity. In India, the installed generation capacity is not sufficient to feed an annual economic growth of 7 to 8%. The main reason for this is that targets of additional capacity generation laid down in many 5-year plans remain unfulfilled. Second, underutilization of capacity. Even the installed generation capacity is underutilized because plants are not run properly. For example, the plant load factor, which indicates the efficiency of thermal power plants, has remained around 50% for a number of years. So plant load factor is in the thermal power plants of state electricity boards has been particularly low. Problems faced by state electricity boards. State electricity boards face a number of problems like poor financial and commercial performance, managerial inefficiencies, and thereby transmission and distribution losses. The heavy transmission and distribution losses of state electricity boards are caused by a variety of reasons, like improper billing and massive power thefts because of corruption, inadequate investments in power supply and distribution networks, sparsely distributed loads over large rural areas, etc. Next is low cost recovery. Cost recovery in distribution is poor in India. Data show that revenues from selling electricity in most states fall short of buying or producing it. Many state governments are providing electricity at very low rates to the agricultural sector, with the result that the burden of subsidy is very high. Next is frequent power outages. Supply of electricity is much less than demand, leading to frequent power cuts for long periods of time in many regions of our country. Besides leading to inconvenience to consumers, this leads to disruption and setbacks in industrial production. The problem is compounded by supply of power at low voltage to industries in various areas and large voltage fluctuations which damage industrial plants and machineries. So these are the challenges that India is facing in power sector. Now, how to solve this problem? Measures to tackle the problems of power sectors in India. Increasing power generation capacity. It is necessary to increase the installed generation capacity so that the gap between the demand and supply of electricity can be bridged. Increasing plant load factor. It is necessary to examine the causes which lead to low power load factor in thermal power plants and take adequate measures to tackle these problems. This will automatically enable us to generate more electricity from existing facilities, reducing transmission and distribution losses. Along with improving plant load factor, it is also necessary to undertake measures to reduce transmission and distribution losses. This would require investments in improving transmission networks and plugging loopholes at the tail end, like reducing power thefts by domestic and industrial consumers. Next, more generation through renewable sources. Renewable sources of energy is a promising area, and India must make this a focal point in its energy strategy for the future. Development of solar energy in particular has immense possibilities. So in this, we can say that India has an estimated renewable energy potential of about 900 gigawatts from commercial exploitable sources. Wind energy 100 gigawatt, small hydro 20 gigawatt, bioenergy 25 gigawatt, and 750 gigawatt solar power, assuming 3% wasteland is made available. So India is progressing by generating more power through renewable sources. That's all for today. Thank you.